Have you ever woken up and thought to yourself, this isn't even me? Like you just woke up and realized you're living someone else's version of success. Well, if you have, one, you're definitely not alone, and two, this video is exactly what you need to hear right now. I know what it feels like to live on autopilot and feel completely disconnected from your soul. I did it for years. In fact, I've pretty much done it my entire life. So in this video, I want to walk you through how to actually reconnect with your soul's calling and how to actually live life intentionally and live a life that actually feels designed for you. So get out a pen and paper because this video actually requires intentional reflection. And if you don't have the time right now, just bookmark this video and come back to it because I promise you, this video could be the very light bulb moment that you've been waiting for. And if you stick around to the end, I want to share with you a real life example on how I applied this in my own life and how it led me down a soul aligned journey. And by the way, if this is our first time meeting, my name is Heather, and this page is all about creating community of like-minded souls who no longer align with the outdated programming. This page is for women who are looking to step into a more purposeful, soul aligned, and expansive life. So if this sounds like you, leave a comment on where you're at in your own journey, and I welcome you to join this community so we can embark on this ever-expanding journey together. Okay, let's dive right in. So step one is going to be uncomfortable because it involves getting radically honest with yourself. You need to ask yourself, what parts of my life right now are incredibly draining? Is there something that you are doing on a daily basis or is perhaps in your schedule that is absolutely draining you dry? Now, this is where I want you to bring out your pen and paper because I'm going to give you some journal prompts that can really help bring some of these things to light that perhaps you don't even realize are draining you right now. So get out your pen and paper and ask yourself these questions. What are some things that I'm doing just because I think I should? What would I do if no one else was watching? What have I been doing that just gives me that off feeling in my gut? Now, these might sound like surface level questions, but truthfully, once you start writing, it is incredible what can start to spill out to you and actually give you the answers on paper. Sometimes journaling brings out another side of us that sometimes we cannot access just by rationally thinking about it. Step two, you need to think about your core values and desires. What actually truly matters to you? If I'm being completely honest, when I recognized what my true values and missions were in life, I recognized that the business that I was running before no longer aligned with my values. And because of that, it actually became very unbearable to continue running this business. I actually had to make the decision to put my values over the business that I had spent so long building. It was such a hard decision. But at the end of the day, my values are built into me. They are a core part of me. I had to be willing to let go of that business in order to stay in alignment with my values. You need to ask yourself, what does success feel like? Not just what does success look like. You need to actually access those feelings inside you and ask yourself, what does it feel like? And for this exercise, put aside what the societal expectations of you are. Truly go inward and ask yourself this on a soul level. Okay, number three, and this is such an important one and one that we talk about on this channel, is unlearning the conditioning. You need to start recognizing some inherited beliefs and identity and societal norms that you have been carrying with yourself that perhaps you don't even identify with. Our identity is heavily built on labels that are given to us before we can even speak. So how many of these labels have you been identifying with and just carrying with you throughout your life without even asking yourself, is this even me? And the most important part is to give yourself the permission to release what you feel you no longer align with. Step four is to start moving in more alignment. Now, you don't need to know the whole plan right now. The whole key is to just start living with more intention. Remember, in order to climb a ladder, you don't need to start from the bottom and get right to the top. You just need to take one step at a time. This just means to start moving through life with more intention and to turn off the autopilot. Don't be afraid to pull back from events and even people who no longer align with you. It is okay to say no. It is okay to be selfish. And it's definitely okay to say no to the events and the people that leave you feeling drained at the end of it. When I started cutting people out of my life that left me feeling so incredibly drained, I cannot even begin to explain the kind of energy, motivation that I started getting back in my life. I started filling that time with things that actually started lighting me up. And step 5 is to start building a lifestyle that actually supports your authentic self. Start creating routines and environments that are actually more in alignment with your true self. This is when you can do a fun exercise and ask yourself, what does an ideal day in my ideal life look like? And play around with this. This isn't super serious. It's meant to just be fun. You remember when we were kids and we would just sit there and daydream and it was something that we were always reprimanded for? Well, this time you're gonna sit there, you're gonna have a nice cup of coffee or tea or water and allow yourself to just daydream and ask yourself, what does the ideal day in my ideal life look like? Where am I? What am I wearing? How do I feel? What do I smell? What do I taste? This is such a fun exercise to do, to get back in touch with your imagination again and allow yourself to play and to feel. This will give you a key indicator as to what you want your life to actually look like and what feels good in your gut. And after you do this exercise, you can ask yourself, what is it that I am doing every single day that is the complete opposite of my ideal life? Perhaps you're moving on autopilot and constantly taking the same actions that is just keeping you further away from your authentic true self. Now, I know that this all sounds easier said than done, and you're probably sitting there like, okay, sounds easy for you to say, but this is why I want to share with you that story that I talked about in the beginning on how I actually applied this in my real life and how this actually came true for me and allowed me to physically experience my true soul-aligned life and allowed me to truly step in to what an authentic version of my life really felt like. So I essentially did everything that I talked about in this video. I took visioning and journaling so seriously. Every single day I was asking myself, what does an ideal life look like for me? And all I could land on was, for some reason, being in Costa Rica, living on the beach, surfing every single day, which is hilarious because when I first started this, I didn't even know how to surf. But I was just so caught up on living that surf lifestyle. Now, because I allowed myself to actually really get in touch with how this felt and how this looked, I started getting all of these intuition, gut feelings, and prompts pushing me towards doing specific things. And because I allowed myself to actually listen to these prompts, I started moving in alignment with them. So the first thing was I started getting so many gut feelings that I needed to go to Costa Rica. So I ended up actually booking a trip to Central America, but I didn't go to Costa Rica. I ended up going to Guatemala. And in going to Guatemala, I ended up meeting a friend there, and meeting that friend, she put me in touch with another friend who happened to be running a women's retreat in Costa Rica. And at the time, I was actually doing UGC content creation, and I offered her my services, to which she said, absolutely, come down here, I would love to have you. So I found myself being in Costa Rica for 1 week at a women's retreat completely paid for me. So just by allowing myself to envision what I want to do, where I want to be, what an ideal life looks like for me, I found myself in that exact situation, and it was basically handed to me on a silver platter. And by being in Costa Rica, an opportunity happened to come up where a friend told me he knew of a place that was for rent on the beach in Costa Rica, pretty much exactly as I envisioned. So I got this little place in Costa Rica, and then I bought myself a surfboard, and before I knew it, I was living my dream lifestyle in Costa Rica. I was working online, and I found myself surfing every day, teaching myself how to surf, taking lessons, and just living that dream lifestyle that all came to me simply because I allowed myself to just envision. I turned off what society expected from me. I turned off thinking from my logic mind, and I just allowed myself to play and think, what if? So I want to share that story with you simply by showing you, by Switching off what the societal norm expects from us and just allowing ourselves to play and put ourselves in that position, it is incredible how the universe can work in our favor and actually bring it to fruition. And I cannot begin to explain to you how much I felt just in such alignment when I was there. I just knew that I was meant to be there. I just felt so connected. I felt so online. And I just knew that that was where I was meant to be. So I hope that you found genuine value in this video today, and this offered you actual applicable steps to start living your life in more authentic alignment. And let me know, did any of these steps stand out to you more than others? Drop it in the comments below because I would absolutely love to hear from you. And I genuinely appreciate you so much for tuning in today. And if today's video really spoke to you, I highly recommend tuning into my next video, which is all about the steps you need to stop doing in order to live in more alignment. So that is all for now. And as always, just remember, we are worthy, we are love, and we are light. I'll catch you in the next video.